anytime soon. And overhead, you can see a lot of helicopters and, of course,
I mean, we
two
are
of
live
their
right here, man. I can't believe this shit is
Thank
right
you so
now.
much. On the ground right there in front of that
It's
Holmby Hills
crazy.
mansion. Stu,
We
up
all
in
knew this was
Skyfox, it
gonna
looks like,
happen. We knew
yes,
this was
there are
coming.
more
Just
enforcement, but in
not
different
about to hit his
attire.
homes.
I shall,
I mean, the
should I
man
say
gonna have to turn
suits
himself in.
instead of body
Let's hope he
armor.
don't do nothing crazy, man. Let's stay tuned.
Definitely,
Let's watch out. Let's see
and
what these guys
we
got
all
going
know
on.
how that works. The suits are going to be the investigators and probably the ones that are running the show. And again, I still think that they are just waiting for that green to be allowed to make their way inside the property and to make their way to the areas that I would venture to say that they probably are pretty specific. I don't think they're just going in randomly. And again, this is just a guess. You know, I don't think they're going in randomly, just going through, you know, everybody's stuff inside there. They probably have an area that they know or an office they're looking into or some computers that they might want to physically get their hands on, and that's what they're right now to make their way inside this property. This, be like you said, very beautiful home out there in the Holmby Hills area, and they just waiting to get the all clear to allow outside. While these officers that we see right there in the tactical gear, well, their job is to make sure that everything is safe for them to go in. Now they don't probably, you know, again, and I just want to be clear, seeing that there's booby traps or some kind of sniper inside the home, that's not what they're thinking. It's probably more along the lines of to make sure that everybody is outside of the home because they don't want to have somebody stepping out, surprising or catching people off guard. That's not what they want. And right now, you can see, like Sandra, you've been saying, there's a large number of people out here. I would venture to say, as far as the office, probably put this group closer to 100. Not just what we're seeing right here. This is just one group that have made their way out here to this Holmby Hills area. And as far as the suits that we were talking about, that's part of the group right there. But some other ones, younger ones that were leading the charge, and that's them right there. Actually, they perfect timing, and it looks like they're making their way over towards the home. They might be the first ones to make their way in to start that process or figure out where we're going to look, what we're looking for, and then later on the suits will make their way in as well. But this, like you said, is going to be a very long process out here, and this is just the very, very beginning. And the folks that they had taken into custody, they've moved them out of the area right now. And again, they are arrested. Know that fact. They took them into custody. A few of them still had cuffs on. Some of them didn't, so maybe this was you know, these are people that we know work here. These are people that mediated with Sean Combs, so, or Bad Boy Entertainment. So it's one of those type of situations, and until they know who they are, they're just going to keep them in custody and possibly just let them go later on. And I don't believe the word arrested has been used out here as of yet, but again, still very active situation, and of course that is a huge house, and they've got a lot of rooms to clear before they allow those investigators in.
Yeah, we talk about the process of bringing this many law enforcement officials to the scene to have a raid like this and conduct a raid and make entry into a Holmby Hills mansion that prominent celebrity and their business. So clearly this is something that doesn't happen just overnight. Law enforcement officials do have to have their evidence ready. They have to make sure every T is crossed in order to make entry into a home like this for an investigation. So when we talk about and see these kinds of raids happen or have conducted, it kind of shows that they do have enough evidence that their investigation is to a certain point where they have made a search warrant and they've gotten all of the evidence they need to have a search warrant, that they have to establish that a crime was possibly committed and there's evidence of probable cause and a crime that has taken place. So all of these things, they have to meet a threshold before law enforcement can just come together like this and approach a property and make entry. So we're seeing that here at Holmby Hills and also in Miami, where they are searching Sean Combs' Miami home as well. So again, this doesn't just happen overnight. This is a process that they've been working on for quite some time to make sure that they have enough evidence to be able to conduct a raid like this, especially with so many law enforcement agencies involved, investigators involved, and and you see just personnel involved on location right there. And you do see a number of people. This is going to be an active situation for quite some time. Again, we don't know what they're looking for. We don't know what the interest is right now. We can only presume a trafficking investigation. Those are multiple lawsuits that Sean Combs have been facing this year alone. Allegations that he denies, but clearly this could be all part of the process here. But again, law enforcement does just not go in willy-nilly into a home and conduct a raid like this unless they get the necessary evidence they need to get that search warrant to acquire entry as well. Take a look from Haley's point of view. It does seem like there are more individuals gearing up, maybe more investigators on the scene. Down there, Haley.
Hey, Sandra, yes, we're actually trying to get an interview lined up, obviously live with the Department of Homeland Security. We had a lady come down here just a minute ago and give her card, so trying to contact her so we can, of course, get official details from her, because everything that we're getting is basically behind the scenes from our law enforcement forces here. We're still just waiting to figure out exactly what happened. We know, of course, P. Diddy's homes on both coasts have been raided. You can see some more officers coming with his property right now, just trying to see if I could see the lady who we're hoping to get the interview with, and she's just messaging me back, so I've got to send her an email for the request first. So we're working on that to get you some more details. But yeah, it's still very active on scene, just more and more vehicles showing up. This is largely, most of the law enforcement officers here, Sandra, are of course the Department of Homeland Security, and then we also have LASD and LAPD here as well. So as soon as I can get anything official on camera, we'll come back and let you know.
Definitely. I know what it's like on the ground right there. You're dealing with a lot of officials, trying to get some answers, trying to talk to people. And of course, it is very difficult to do two things at once. We will let you get to work right there on the ground. Let's go up to Stu again. As I was manager of this, and you've covered so many of these types of stories. You've been overhead when these raids have happened. This isn't a process that just happens overnight. Clearly, they are looking for something. They have enough evidence, and they were able to could even or conduct a raid like this.
Oh, you definitely, Sandra, and what you're talking about really kind of shows exactly what you're trying to point out, that this didn't just happen overnight. This wasn't just an accusation and they came and knocked down the doors and started tearing up the house. That's an ongoing investigation. Lawyers, attorneys, they all have to sign off on this. They look this over. Judges have to make that decision as well, and nobody wants to be on the end of a wrongful seizure. So, of course, to show evidence that there is a reason for this type of force and for these officers to make their way into this home. And then again, of course, the world we live in today, all of these officers that are showing up, they all know that, you know, we are everybody's under a watchful eye nowadays. So they made every effort to do this as quickly and as less destructive as possible. We watched them trying to get through one of those side gates. That pedestrian gate was giving them a little bit of an issue, but in the end they got in there, and after that they made their way in very quickly. We didn't see any doors being smashed or things getting kicked in. It was basically a lot of opening up and just letting that garage door, somebody got in there and they opened up that garage door, and or possibly the people inside were curious what was going on and they opened up that garage door. But again, the forceful entry part of it really truly was just a little bit here in that side gate. Everything else was very quick and with etiquette would be the best way to say it, actually. Yeah. They went in and they just did what they needed to do. And again, the reason why they're still there, I can tell you, it's not like it's not a television show where they're pulling out drawers and dumping out clothes and just trashing the place. They just want to make sure that there are no other people inside that building that may still be scared, hiding, or having a problem. And that as soon as that word is given, which I'm sure is going to come shortly, because we already saw a couple of the groups making their way in, less armed. So they're making their way in. They're going to start looking for, and of course, even in that warrant, they're going to have a list of things that they are able to look at able to take. It isn't just a random search. They actually have to go in and actually find things that they believe have information or evidence that a guilty or innocent situation for Sean Combs. So at any rate, this is still very ongoing, very preliminary, but again, we do see a large force out there, which, like you're trying to say, or what I believe you did say, is that this is a warranted search. And of course, they are here, and they are definitely looking for specific pieces of information. What they are, we don't know. We may never know, but right now, that search is definitely ongoing.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, we've covered so many of these different types of raids. Obviously, not always at a celebrity mansion like this in Holmby Hills, but clearly sometimes you see them having to forcefully enter
Wow.
property. And